Netflix bias.
Okay.
I want to talk about this real quick.
ready.
Okay.
All right. Because I started watching. I was watching.
Won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different. Manic spitting sounds of manic depressant. Going through.
Rotten. Have you seen Rotten?
It's about food.
Yeah, it's.
I don't think I've seen Rotten yet.
It's the dark side of food, essentially. And let me tell you something. Because I watched Social Dilemma and then I watched Rotten, and I was like, I believe in climate change. Like, climate change is a real thing.
Yeah.
But if I was conservative and I did not believe in climate change, or if I was conservative, I would not be watching Netflix. Do conservatives have Netflix? That's the question.
Yeah.
Does a conservative, like a Trump supporter, watch Netflix? Do you think that they have Netflix?
Of course.
Sometimes I wonder if they do, or they just don't watch any documentaries, because every single documentary on Netflix is not just skewed left. I mean, it's all the way left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, though, because I had to be, like, when I was thinking about this, I was trying to be as objective as possible, because I'm left. I skewed left.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the 13th, of course that rings true with me, because racism in this country is shown in, right? So I don't even know if that's a good example. But if the Social Dilemma, they present all types of the issues about how Trump kind of stole the presidency and how our social discourse is falling apart, and how, well, if you didn't believe in any of this stuff, you're not going to watch that documentary and you're going to think that this is bullshit, right? So I was like, I walked away thinking, like, man, does Netflix have a bias to it with the way, because you don't ever see any
like a left.
Yeah, like a left-winging bias almost. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to think
and I'm
there's
cool with
anything
it.
right.
If I'm not clear, I'm cool with it, because, again, I am left-swinging, so it's almost my confirmation bias. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's really just my confirmation bias.
I think I think also it has something to do with the way we are. Like, we are so easy to be to watch a documentary and it just, like, life change. Like, what's the one, Game Changers, about being vegan? Like, so I started watching it, but I didn't finish it. For some reason, it just wasn't, I couldn't get into it. But basically it follows, like,
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
It talks about, like, basically these athletes who gone vegan and they're, like, at their optimal performance. So all these people saw Game Changers and, like, are going vegan, right? So there's you see something like that, and you're sold. But the thing is, if you're there, a lot of people can't tell if something's skewing left or the thing is also, when you look at, I've seen those food documentaries. Like, I didn't see Rotten, but I see a lot of them, and some of them are not so much climate change, but they're, like, on pollution, and they kind of, like, talk about, like, the big companies and whatnot. The thing is, I think what has happened is that there has been this dialogue of where, like, the left and the right have these things. The right, there's a lot of people on the right who are against these big companies because they get screwed by them.
Correct.
All those people who lived in, those factory workers that were out, all over, and those companies just bounced or they closed down. Farmers, if you look at Food Inc. or whatever, they get screwed by, like, Monsanto and all these, and that's what the thing is. I completely, like, I'm like, oh, to hell with Monsanto. Like, they make gum look like a thing, but then, I haven't done enough research, but I'm pretty sure Monsanto has done things that, I know it sounds, I think it's in Spanish. It's probably Spanish.
Yeah, Monsanto.
Pero manzana, like, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt until I look at what they've done. So, right? But like a dude got cancer because of Roundup. You know what I mean? But, like, what did we think was gonna happen? Bugs don't want to bang with the food because you put in these chemicals where you think it's good for you. Like, we didn't get that from when we know that when you live, like, in these islands and you see all them animals booking. Those there's a wave coming, bro.
Yeah. Correct.
They know, so
correct.
there is, I think there is a bias, but I think there's a lot of, as far as documentaries though, I don't think I've really seen anything that's like very right. Like, I think, I think Hulu had something.
I mean, who's made the supporting documentary for Trump? There's got to be one. Somebody has made it.
Yeah.
Where is it? Right? And it's not that I want to see it or that I want to support it, but if you were truly unbiased, right, you would have it up there. Now maybe it's just that, well, the supporters of Netflix skew left, so this is what we want to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're tearing down, like, we're in the process of tearing down every hero, right? So where's like the good documentary for Andrew Jackson or one of those assholes that we know is terrible? But where's the good side of that? Because a lot of history is that, right? Is like, yeah, this guy was a dick, but he did do these good things. He also did a bunch of fucked up things, but along the way did a couple good things too. You know what I mean?
And probably things that if you lived in that time, that you'd be down with it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We benefited from being, during this time. I mean,
yeah.
Lord knows what I would actually be, back in that time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm on let me see. Yeah, everything that I'm seeing here, I don't see anything really pro Trump.
I mean, is it just that could you just be at a point where he is so shitty in every aspect of his life, no one could come up with a good thing to say about him for an hour? You know what I mean? Like, this is why I was wondering this, because it's like, man, but where is the counter argument for all these documentaries? Because you're putting out the social dilemma. Literally is talking about this very thing, how our phone is shaping our psyche, essentially, right? Well, isn't Netflix kind of the same thing? If you took somebody's entire education and based it on Netflix documentaries, they would swing far left. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that they would have a wrong point of view, but they're never seeing the counter argument for anything that's being said here.
Yeah, and if you look at it too, here's the thing: a lot of those tech companies, they're left. They're all left.
Correct.
So, social media, they're
Facebook,
all left.
I think this dude claimed to be all left, but that doesn't mean anything necessarily.
Yeah, right? No, I mean he's left. I don't see that dude being a conservative at all.
Yeah, Zuckerberg,
But he's rich, so that the problem is that just because you're rich, they're gonna put you in a box.
Correct.
But I don't think the thing is what's happening is we're asking companies to be responsible for people.
Yeah.
And what their thoughts and their actions.
Yeah.
And then you're right. It is an echo chamber, because of what I'm seeing here. Everything's against. I learned a lot from Trump. Like, you have Trump, the American dream. That's not good. Meet the Trumps, from immigrant to president. I haven't seen that one, but it doesn't look the most glorifying. And I saw one thing on Dirty Money. There was a
I saw that.
And everything that that came out about his income tax, I knew that. Like, I was like, oh, and now I haven't looked at it on a paper or whatever, or what these guys told me, but what I assumed was that he's not really as rich as he got rich because of he became richer because he had a persona of being rich.
Correct.
Right? So a lot of his stuff is on licensing. He didn't make steaks. Remember, because Obama came at his neck. He's like, he got steaks, he got this. He didn't make steaks. He just got paid for his money, just like Lincoln Financial does.
80% of the Trump Tower. I think there's only one legitimate Trump Tower, which is the one in New York. Yeah. But every other Trump Tower Moscow, Trump Tower Singapore, all of them are just his name on the building. Yeah. They're not his buildings.
And he had a large amount of income with The Apprentice.
Correct. Yes, correct.
And the whole thing of The Apprentice is he's this rich guy. They're calling him Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's calling him Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
You know.
Meanwhile, if you see the set, if you saw I'm guessing you saw the set of it, right? Where it's like that boardroom wasn't even his boardroom. Those chairs, the table.
Yeah, they said
none
they
of
didn't
that
look
was
that
his.
good. Yeah,
no, but none of it was his. It was they had to bring those in because the building where he was his office and a bunch of undone bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They said it didn't look good.
Yeah,
like it was just like not organized or whatever. But he, yeah, I wonder. You know, there is, and I think that's why I've been having such a trouble, you know, time because I think I naturally question things. And when I feel like something, and I think here's what gets me, even if I want to second guess something, or I feel like if I have another opinion, and I'm like, I know I would never voice it because of everything that could happen and how I would be, you could be labeled something, ostracized for something that even if it maybe it sounds bad, but I can be persuaded. Like I could talk and be like, hey, let's talk about this, you know, like whatever. But it's the insane, you know, like what they're doing to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You know, the Spotify, they're talking about they're going to like stage a walkout at Spotify because of his stuff. Like, y'all knew what he did.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's left.
Yeah.
He's left, but he brings people from the left and right on his show.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what people don't like. Like, they don't want to hear that. So,
listen, I made my space clear on him. The only person I've ever had a problem with him bringing on is what's his face. This fucking
Alex Jones?
Is Alex Jones. He's the only person I've ever had a problem with on there. You know what I mean? He's had Candace Jones on there. He's had every fucking fake Elon Musk, the fakest smart person ever. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? They most times they are interesting interviews and they give you a window into these personas. You know what I mean? Which we should have. You should have a window into Candace Jones. I'm not saying she doesn't offer anything, but you should understand this person a little bit before you make a sweeping accusation about anybody. You know what I mean? But
and the thing is, like you don't have to be a fan of somebody to agree with them on something.
Correct.
The thing is, there was a point in when she was like coming up where I was like, oh, she has some good points. But then I saw her like this like insane this thing where she comes off like crazy, like wild. Like you're wild, like almost like no empathy. For certain situations. Right?
Correct.
Now, the thing is, I think people fail to realize why the right is getting like that. It's two monsters that are like feeding each other.
Correct.
So she is like that because all she does is respond to the left.
Yes.
She's not about, all these people are not about giving you information. Let's be real. None of these people are trying to spread new ideas on how, hey, maybe this is something that'll work, whatever. None of them. All they do is point a finger and say, yo, this is, you know, like, you're the problem. But no one's giving out new ideas.
It's the whataboutism, which we've attributed to Trump, but that no one knows where that actually started. That's just actually an argument technique that people use. It's not a technique that just the right uses. That is a technique that everybody uses. Because if you go on any Twitter argument, this person says, what about this? And this person says, well, what about this? And then this person, well, now you're using
it deflects. It deflects on the situation.
We're not actually trying to solve an issue. We just want to argue about every issue.
Exactly. It deflects it deflects the issue.
Right.
Like,
listen, her original
abortion,
point,
all that, all you already know the things. If you're against if you're pro-life, you're against women. What's the other thing? What's another thing people say? Oh, people care more about unborn than the born, right? The thing is, essentially, those things have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, if I think that abortion, if I think that's a baby being killed, then you have to expect that's what people are gonna do.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So then your argument can be, because all you're trying to do is make say, you don't care about people.
Yeah,
like
correct.
You care about people that like that's not helping.
Yeah, or no, because the new one is, it's funny that the ones who don't want to wear masks are pro-life or something like that, and it's like, these are not come on, I get it, it's not the same thing though. You know what I mean? I get it, but it's
exactly, it's not the same thing.
I get your point, but come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and like
these one sentence checkmates you think you're doing, it's not a checkmate. You know,
and that's everybody. That's everybody wants to do a checkmate. That's all Twitter is, a checkmate.
Yeah.
Where you don't even get the thing. You're checkmating someone who no one's gonna witness their response really to you.
Correct. And it's funny because I commented on this post today because this dude, so this battle rapper, he went viral the other day because this woman put up a video of her like in, I guess she was in lingerie maybe. And she was like, I just gave birth 3 months ago. And she was trying to give herself props because, she was like, her body looked banging, you know what I mean? And the battle rapper commented and said, what'd she say? He said, 3 months, why don't you go raise your kids or something like that, right? And he ended up going viral. And people, because it was a funny comment, he went viral. And she actually ended up reaching out to him, and not in no Twitter shit, just in his DMs, like, hey, whatever. He tweeted today, yo, you know what? She reached out to me and made me realize I was being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For doing this. And I retweeted, and I was like, hopefully this goes as viral as the joke went. You feel me? Because you've reached 100,000 people with the joke, but now they're never going to see, maybe 50, maybe 20,000 people see this. Well, that sucks. The damage is done now. You've slandered this person now, all for a joke. You know what I mean? Because you checkmated them. Good for you. You got a moment to shine, but what did it cost this person now? You know what I mean? But that's social media. We're not here to do that anymore.
Yeah.
My point is that Netflix, I don't think we ever think about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as echo chambers, because it's social media. And because Netflix isn't social media, we assume it's not part of this. But you should consider that the programming that is being put on Netflix could possibly swing in one direction or the other. I think people should probably consider that, right?
Yeah. I have a hard time ever thinking that something's going to turn right, because for the reason is because the left is more noisy and they cancel more. Right?
I would say it's the larger number of people. Based on the last election, right? The left is the larger number of people. Arguably.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing. That's Democrat, Republican, right?
Yeah.
So and I feel like there's going to be some sort of change within the country. I don't know what happens after this. Like I honestly, I don't know which way it goes, because I feel like my thing is out the window, right? Because I didn't. You mean? Yeah, the pendulum, because I thought we were going to get into the middle, but now I just feel like the crazy on the left is just as bad. Yeah. Not just as bad, but it's bad, right? Yeah. Like, it's not a great alternative. Yeah. I think people will suffer because not because like people like being shot there's a degree of that is, kind of with the rhetoric, and I'm having trouble, man. Like, honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I find myself disagreeing with things that I feel like I shouldn't disagree with.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I can't disagreeing with what everyone's telling me.
Yeah.
So like with the cop thing, like all of a sudden now in Minneapolis, people are getting like, their murder rate is insane. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you saw, but like they had a city council meeting. And they're all saying, and they've defunded police,
Yeah.
and whatnot, and they're like, yo, where the cops at? And then they're like, yo, like, what do you want us to do? Like, there's repercussions because it went from 0 to a whole nother degree. You know what I mean? And people couldn't think clearly and be like, yo, yes, the police, how we not have police?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest, and I haven't looked into the Minneapolis.
Yeah.
But cops, I don't think have ever been a deterrent for murder, in my opinion. I don't think they've ever been a real deterrent. You know what I mean? It's about, are they going to be able to stop, or are they going to be able to help after the fact? Has always been the thing.
Right.
So if the murder rate in Minneapolis is skyrocketing, I would almost just wonder if me being a pessimist would wonder if murders are now being overreported in Minneapolis as opposed to before, to prove a point that we need more cops. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is almost where I would consider, because there are no numbers that support that cops, and who knows, maybe the science is bullshit too, right? But there are no numbers that support that cops are deterrents to street violence. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're embroiled in some shit, it don't matter if the cops are around. You feel me?
Yeah.
There was a shooting behind the apartment the other day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I saw a cop drive up 5th Street, and 5 minutes later the shooting happened. Not only was the cop not a deterrent, but these people don't even know the cops were around here. You feel me? Right? It wouldn't even matter.
Yeah. I think what's being reported now is that since the protests, a lot of these major cities that had, like, I think a lot of rioting and stuff, the murder rate and crime is going up.
I mean, that sounds like mad convenient though too. You see what
I'm
saying?
because
I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it seems convenient. You know what I mean? It definitely seems convenient.
Well, no, because I think here's the thing.
Or it's not convenient. The cops for stopping crime, right? It's either the cops for stopping crime or it's a convenient thing.
I think here's what I think. I agree with you. I don't think cops can necessarily deter crime. I think there's a degree, and I think this is where you're going to see, right? Because I think when with all those protests, I think there was almost like a sense of like lawlessness, that you were able to get away with stuff.
Yeah.
And people are just like way more brazen now. And maybe that dies off. But I think now there's been this precedent of being able to go insane when something like this happens. So, blow up buildings, do all this stuff. I wonder if that's a result of like those type of things going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, all I know is like I know New York's. I think it's like straight out of, like that's what people are saying. Like they're in New York. Dude, New York is bad. New York is like they're ready. Everyone's surpassing. We've surpassed our murder rate. Like
we've been doing
Philly's
that
getting wild too.
But we've been doing that for years though.
No, but not this year has been one of the worst.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, the thing is too, there is like an unprecedented amount of circumstances that are happening right now too. That again, it's too easy to just point to this one thing and say is this, when we're dealing with the quarantining and all of this crazy shit that's happening, this level of civil unrest. I mean, I can't even remember when it's probably ever been like this. Maybe the 80s or something like that. I mean, it's been relatively peaceful. The 90s and 2000s, I would argue, were somewhat peaceful times. You know what I mean? Obviously, there was still, not that there wasn't injustice happening. There obviously still was, but it just wasn't what it is today. You know what I mean? Like what's happening right now is unprecedented in so many ways that just to say, well, it's because of this specific thing, I think, is too easy. This administration being in power is unprecedented. This pandemic, the level of which it's affecting us is unprecedented, right? Like, it's too easy. The amount of economic collapse that's happening is unprecedented. The amount of people out of work currently, right? Everything that's happening right now is unprecedented. It's too easy. There's too much desperation to just be like, well, it's just this over here. You know what I mean? That, to me, is a very convenient way to wrap up
It's
this
true.
story. You know what I mean? To put a bow
But
on.
okay, and you know what? You're right. But why people are dying?
Yeah.
And I'm looking. It feels what I'm like. I searched it, right, to see if the correlation. It just seems like I'm just getting a lot of right wing type of websites. Like this site has a screenshot of a graphic that Fox News put on, which I'm kind of,
take that with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Take it with a grain of salt. But it says homicide rates increase from 2020 versus 2019. Minneapolis 95%. Philadelphia, we're up 31%. New York 24%. But I think that's and I think the case is this is news. People are dying at an escalated amount.
Yeah.
Why isn't the other side talking about that? Right? And then this is what's going to happen. The right is going to say, you don't talk about these people being killed.
Yeah.
The left is saying, you don't talk about this.
Yeah.
And it's the what about.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's why none of this, it's so hard for me and it's disheartening because nobody wants to really solve anything.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to say, like, throw out like these things, like the answer, like these things, like abolish. I don't understand abolishing, getting rid of police. There's bad people, like rapists. We want people to be arrested.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Correct.
Who's arresting them?
Correct.
It don't matter what name you give them. You need law.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I don't understand this whole thing. I think you have to change things. There has to be major reforms. But guess what? Nobody. That's the hard work.
Yeah, correct. We'll be arguing about it for longer before it ever gets.
You know what? Because how can you tell police how to police? Granted, I could tell them there's certain obvious things, but how can people who don't actively know how to deal with the criminal mind, justice, all those things that you really got to study.
Yeah.
And be, have, experience with. How is that person going to tell these people on how to run police?
Correct.
You know what I mean? Correct. And then the police can't, or people on this side can't say, oh, well, you guys got crime. Like there's reasons for that.
Correct.
Right? How do we, you don't want people on welfare. Right? We already know when people are poor, right, you have a higher crime rate.
Correct.
Let's get rid of poor people now. But, get rid of poor people. That means we're going to use tax dollars and give them more welfare. No, we got to find out ways how to get it. But no, that is hard.
Correct.
And nobody wants to do it.
Correct.
Nobody wants to tell you. Everyone wants to complain about it. Yeah. And I think that's what no one's giving good ideas.
Correct.
You feel me?
Yeah. No question. The majority of people who I see with with the ACAB in their profile definitely don't know all the science behind what that actually means. You know what I mean? So I don't disagree with you. I'm with you. And I said this on the Breonna Taylor podcast. I don't personally agree that all cops are bad. You know, maybe I'm maybe I'm naive about it.
That's an insane.
But I do think that there are, we talked about this. There are policies that definitely make policing unfortunate for a certain group of people. You know what I mean? That's where the reform comes in. There are also cops who shouldn't be cops. Let's just keep it clear.
100%.
Very easy for shitty people to become cops. That's a problem too.
100%.
Shitty people to become COs. That's a problem too. there's a million issues, no question about it.
Yeah.
It's not just cops. Let's be clear. It's not just the cops.
Yeah.
The cops are just basic people who probably had unchecked mental health issues and then were told to get put into a situation where they are now in a culture shock because they've never been here and don't know how to manage this situation. Might be prejudice, but they may not be actively, like, outwardly racist, but they could be prejudiced to the point that their actions are now going to be racist as fuck. So yes, all of that is true. That I know cops that are not, I just know are not bad people. I just know, I talk to them like, these people, this dude's not a bad dude to me.
Yeah, and there's people that say, oh, the cops helped me.
Yeah, correct. Of course.
And at the end of the day, like bro, there's like I don't know, per day, thousands and thousands and thousands of police stops.
Correct.
Right? Not every single person's getting shot.
Correct.
Right? So that, but that idea, I believe, and how the media just swarms on that, I think is we're giving people PTSD from, and not even being in a situation.
Correct. No question.
Right?
About it. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, no question.
And you know what I mean? Of course I'm not gonna feel good, like stepping out into the street. But I got kids who got my students have PTSD from real life. They see people being shot. Yeah. They have friends being shot. They go to funerals of people being shot.
Yeah.
And that's, where there's, those have to be solved. And the thing is, to me, it's more police. There's more police don't mean that that's going to stop, because they can't stop. They can't stop me from rolling up, going. I could, right now, if I had a gun and I wanted to shoot you, I could shoot you.
Oh, for sure.
You're not stopping me from shooting.
Yeah, but if you shoot me in a dream, you got to wake up and apologize.
You're going to apologize. Yeah. I said that one. So I could shoot you. Right. Now, I could get caught, depending on how sloppy I am or whatever. But
I mean, you just Vlad TV'd yourself here, so you know what I mean? If I get shot.
Yeah, I know, right? To costume myself.
Yeah.
So, I basically put all my stuff out there, but, like, there's not, you can't stop, like, an impulse.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Like, and especially, like, these things are these hits and stuff, they're like, they're not, the most organized hits you've ever, these are like dudes who run up and then you just hope that there's not a camera. Yeah. Like, these things are completely unorganized.
Correct.
Right? Which, maybe that's maybe it's good, in a sense, not having educated criminals out there that could make good, those type of things. But we all know it's because probably they didn't have a good education.
Yeah.
Why they resorted to that life. But, bro, like, I see stuff on, like, social media, like, people just getting blasted, like, in Philly, like where they called, like, on the Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
And I say I'm not going to watch it, and then I watch it and I get traumatized. And I'm like, the thing is, here's the thing. You got people out here that have no trouble shooting someone. Like, straight
that's right.
popping them in daylight. Like, not even planned. Like, not even say, okay, this guy's going to be at 5 o'clock. I've been tracking him for like 2 weeks. There's not
none of that.
Innocent. And then they suck at shooting.
It's typically, there he go, and then shooting.
Yeah, they are basically the equivalent of me in Call of Duty, just blasting everything, hoping I hit the person. Yeah. And so, like, kids are getting killed and all that. And I think what ends up happening is these type of thoughts get lost and are seen as almost like anti-black or against the movement when it's not that. And I think it affects people who are actually doing stuff in the communities because you're doing it. Like, we went to funerals, for, like, it is what it is, so, and just because I didn't get I didn't go to a funeral of someone who got shot by a cop doesn't mean that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But this is the reality.
Correct.
Right? You know what I mean? So there is a bias, and I think that's what, like, Netflix does have a bias. It's left.
Yeah.
It's left. And I don't think it's gonna go right, because anything right is, the left owns the culture.
Correct.
They own basically the media.
Yeah, the popular culture right now is left.
Yeah. So then they, so if they make a threat on on canceling whatever, the right really doesn't have too much of a leg to stand on.
Well, I mean,
the right just trolls.
Correct.
The right's gonna be like, oh, you want to cancel Chick-fil-A? We'll go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like, that's all they do. But and really, canceling is like kind of like a weird thing, because like, how many companies have you heard have been Yeah,
we talked about this with Goya too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are gonna use Goya.
Yeah. It's just
Again,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah.
You're right. They have skewed left, and it is going to make an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And it could just open the eyes. Maybe it's good. Yeah. And here's the thing. The thing is, a lot of these things don't really skew. They skew left, as in like a left.
They're aligned with the left. They're aligned with a lot of the left principles.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah.
Like but I mean, I think there's people on the right that believe the same thing.
For sure.
But what happens is we have to generalize everybody.
Yeah. Well, and you know why? Because every documentary, whether it's Making a Murderer, The Staircase, it's really about how shitty the cops are doing of a job, right? When you watch them. Right, it's really about like, wow, these cops are dirty as shit. Every one of those, The Innocent Man. There's the confession tapes. I don't know if you watched confession tapes. No, the confession tapes is the one where the guy confesses to committing all the murders, right?
No, the confession tapes is the one where they talk about
how
different people confessing.
Give false confessions. All of it is about how cops are bad. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And it's not because it's important, because the importance is, listen, I'm not saying that these documentaries are wrong or lying, right? Climate change is real. It's a real problem.
Right.
Racism is real. It's a real problem. There are issues with how cops get people to confess. That's a real problem. But it for sure is an echo chamber. No question about it. If you align yourself left, Netflix has every documentary for you. That's just going to continue reinforcing everything you've already believed. It's never going to allow you to contest it. There's no documentary on there about cops that are good. I haven't seen a good cop documentary on there. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know what though too? I think, and that's where, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I just thought of this. Like, that's where you see the power of YouTube, right? So now you have these companies. I'm just like kind of putting this together, but at least with YouTube, with Netflix, it's like curated.
Correct.
Right? YouTube is not curated.
Nope.
I mean, to a degree. So you're getting these dudes who do no homework. They're making their own these bootleg documentaries and swaying people.
Correct.
So I think it might be imperative to the Netflix to bring, some some of those voices, here. I mean, to the thing, so you could kind of make your own, your own judgments.
Yeah, provide a counter argument. You know what I mean? Because right now, if we believe Facebook and Twitter and Instagram have responsibilities to the people that are using those platforms, then I would argue that Netflix probably has a similar responsibility, because there are groups of people who would look at these documentaries and not believe them. And I'm not saying they're right, but there should be a counter argument if there is any type of, if there is somebody with a counter point of view here, that person, if they have good science and good work, that person should be afforded the same responsibility, the same, the same thing. To give me the argument about why defunding police isn't necessarily good and that we should actually take this route, right? Give me that documentary. Where is that, right? There has to be one out there. There is science for it. Give it to me. You know what I mean? Like, where is the pro-evangelical crowd? They exist. Where is it, though? Because every documentary we see is about how shitty they are. So where is the good crowd about it, right?
Oh, yeah. So. And that, and we talked about that. And it's only bad news. Bad news, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So they're never going to put, and you would almost think it's preposterous to put a documentary on like why, oh, look at the good thing Christians are doing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And what's crazy is that, Christians when it comes to the world are one of the most persecuted. But no one says
they are the most people.
Yeah, no, but the most persecuted religion within the world, to where there's places where they're going to be eradicated, like there won't be Christians in those like countries.
Good for those places. I'm sorry, that's not true.
That's crazy. Yeah, so like there's like this video that went viral. Yeah, because like in China, and what ends up happening is like a lot of Christians, they actually have to kind of live. They're kind of pushed into poor places because they're like ostracized, put out. But they showed like, in China, it's a communist, type of country. So, you can't just be giving out Bibles. So if you have a Bible, you got to smuggle it, right? So there's this video. It's either of China or North Korea, one of the two. Where like they brought like in a suitcase, and it was like a group of people like in like this room, and like you just see these people like grab. It was almost like a very Book of Eli type of thing, and they're just like holding it, like crying, like they finally got their hands on one. They're like hugging it, and like it's wild. But the thing is that in the States, that's never gonna be the thing. And then, and here's the thing is. When we talk about climate change, right? The United States can do things, but for the most part, the United States has very high regulations.
Yeah.
We're not the ones.
Yeah, we're not the most. Correct.
We got countries like China. You have a lot of these countries that they don't care.
Yeah.
Right, and like they overfish the populations. They like mangle whales out there, and we got Americans like on boats, trying to like vomit them, to like leave them alone. So, because we're, that's America.
Yeah, we'll be interfering.
But you're gonna. The thing is, America is gonna be vilified, and at the end of the day. Of course, there's things that our country's not perfect. Our country's not perfect at all. But I mean, you go from 0 to 100. You know what I mean? People like you have legit people saying, "Oh, this country's horrendous." I'm like, I get it because of everything you're hearing in the news, but there are millions of people that would love to be here, and we're like, oh. You could love your country and know that there's like you have a problematic kid, your son could give you a lot of problems. You're still gonna love him regardless, because that's yours. You know what I mean? And that's what people want to throw away the country with the, just because of everything that they see in the news. I'm like, no, it has to be fixed. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, and that's the thing. Like, there's no perspective. Like if you travel, like you'll see that. And that's another thing. People say like, oh, well, you could go to these countries. America isn't you could go to like Norway, a lot of these places in Europe or whatever. They have, healthcare, all this stuff. But the thing is, again, it's not the same thing, right? You couldn't really replicate those things in those countries because of the way they're set up. They don't have as many people. They they run their oil. So they're able, that pays for things. They have really high taxes.
Yeah.
So you can't really duplicate it. Hey, that's nice. Of course, I think people would like that, but how do you make that work here? Yeah. Nobody has the answers.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But you know what?
It's the answer where the answers sway.
Yeah. No,
you don't got the answer.
No, you're right. And most people are just well, we talked about that. Most people are just, they would rather share the meme about Norway having healthcare, but I have no idea how that would actually work here. Not to say it's not possible. I don't know how it's possible or how it's impossible, for example.
Yeah.
But the point being, I'm not going to share a meme until I go and say, okay, well, how does this work over here?
Yo, won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking. You're acting different, manic, spitting sounds of manic, depressing, going through